Hey Defenders, welcome back. In this video, I want to show you guys how we can start to capture endpoint network traffic that is hitting our network interface on our endpoints. And the software that we will use to capture that will be called Packetbeat. So has a similar name, of course, to FileBeat, which you guys should be familiar with by now. Packetbeat is another piece of software that Elastic has put together and provided for us. And what this will allow us to do is to actually now capture network traffic that is hitting our endpoints, right? Because as of now, our Wazuh agent is not capturing network traffic such as DNS queries, HTTP, HTTPS connections, UDP connections, and much more. It's not capturing any network traffic that is hitting our interface. And if you don't currently have an IDS or IPS set into place that is monitoring this network traffic, we are currently blind to this. And so what we're going to do is take advantage of Packetbeat. And this will be a lightweight agent that we'll deploy on our operating system. In this video, I'm going to be deploying it on a CentOS box, but it works for all Linux distros and Windows operating systems as well. And what we're going to do in this video is first install Packetbeat. We are then going to configure Packetbeat to log what we want it to log, being HTTP traffic, DNS traffic, etc. And then we are going to configure our Wazuh agent to round up those logs and send them over to our Wazuh manager for analysis. So stick around and let's jump into it. And all right, so I am on my CentOS box here, and what we first need to do is to actually install Packetbeat. So if you go to Elastic's downloads page, I'll link this in the description below. You guys can follow along and select our platform, and then we will go ahead and download Packetbeat. And what I'm going to do is just copy this link address, go into my op directory, and I probably don't have wget installed. Let me install that real quick. And let me also install Nano before I make that mistake. And I'll go ahead and clear that out. All right, and let's go ahead and grab that RPM file. All right, so we got that installed, and now what I'm going to do to install Packetbeat is just do an rpm-i-v and point to the RPM file that we just grabbed. And now we have installed Packetbeat. So it's it's as easy as that. And now let's go into the configuration of Packetbeat. So we have a directory created for us called Packetbeat under the etc directory. If I list this out, you'll see something very similar to our FileBeat, right? So we have a packetbeat.yaml. So let's go ahead and open this guy up. And here, actually, let me minimize this a bit. A little overwhelming. We can scroll down a little bit of this config file, and here we see the protocols that we can tell Packetbeat to log or not. So we have ICMP, we have some application related protocols such as Cassandra if you're using a Cassandra database on a backend, DHCP, DNS traffic, HTTP traffic, MySQL, Postgres. So they also have some pre-baked popular application protocols that come out of the box supported by Packetbeat, which is really nice. NFS, our TLS traffic, and here we can specify what ports of this traffic we want to capture, which is really cool. So for this demo, we'll just leave it as all the defaults. You could, of course, if you're looking to deploy this in your own environment, kind of pick and choose what you want to log. If you maybe need to change some of these ports, you can do so within the config file here. And I'll scroll down a little bit. And Packetbeat does support outputting to an Elastic cluster like we have here, which you totally can do that. In this demo, I'm actually going to just output it to a file that's locally on the server and then use our Wazuh agent to collect that file and send that over to our Wazuh manager. So I'm actually going to comment out this portion here, and then under I will include I'll say a comment here, and I'll say output to file. And let's go ahead and actually configure that. And it's as easy as this. So we can use this syntax here, and I'll paste that here. And what this will do is Packetbeat will output our logs to the temp directory and then to a file called Packetbeat. So So once we start Packetbeat, we should see our Packetbeat file be created under the temp directory. So let's go ahead and save that off. And I'll go ahead and do a systemctl start Packetbeat. And let's do a status on that just to make sure it looks to be running correctly. Go ahead and expand this out a little bit. And okay, it looks to be starting good. So let's go ahead and go into our temp directory and let's cd into Packetbeat. And then here, let's start to tail our Packetbeat file. And here we see network traffic start to be populating. So let's run a test for this. Let me do like, I'll say google.com. Oh, let me do a grep. And let's make sure. And let me just run a basic, I'll just run a ping out to google.com, which of course my server will need to resolve google.com. So that should make a DNS query. So if I go ahead and ping this guy, we see some traffic start to come through. So I'll go ahead and stop that. And here we see our DNS query being made for google.com, which is really nice, right? So now we're able to capture what DNS queries are being made on a particular box. Let's say, let's do now like I'll do like a telnet to opensecure.co. And so here I'll just do a telnet to opensecure.co over port 443. So we do a telnet out to opensecure.co, and here we see that traffic start to come in as well. So we see our DNS traffic come in, and then let me now grep for the IP address that opensecure.co is resolving to, and we should see some outbound traffic going that way as well via TCP, which is the protocol that Telnet is using under the hood here. So we can see that as well, and we are going to port 443. So good. So it looks like we're starting to capture event. So we are capturing our network events and logging them to our file on our local server here. But now let's get our Wazuh agent to actually forward this file to our Wazuh manager. And what's nice is that you can see here, this is just a raw JSON, which will be supported out of the box by our Wazuh manager. So we don't have to create any fancy decoders or anything to have the Wazuh manager actually look at this traffic, which is really nice. Let's go ahead and configure our Wazuh agent to collect that particular file, which you do a pwd. This will be under temp Packetbeat. So I'll go ahead and edit the osec.conf of this guy. Come on down to our location file. Go ahead, copy this guy in our log format. We will change to JSON. And then I will change our location to temp, Packetbeat, and then Packetbeat again. And all right, save that off, do a restart of our Wazuh agent here. And once that's restarted within our web UI here, if we go to configuration and we look at our log collection, we should now see that our Packetbeat has been configured to be collected. So that's looking good. So let's go ahead and jump back into this and let's look at security events. And I assume actually what we will probably need to do is we'll probably need to just create a general rule for the Wazuh manager to actually log this. So I'm going to go into Wazuh. Going to go into rules here, custom rules, manage rule files. I'll just do this on the local rules here. Without configuring any rules first, let's see how our Wazuh manager is actually reading this. So I'm going to just grab a log entry out of here. Grab this guy here. And paste that into our rule set test. And okay, so as expected, we don't have any rules that will trigger natively. So we need to create a custom rule. And for here, I'm just going to create a generic custom rule, and I'm just going to match on Packetbeat. Yeah, I'm just going to match on Packetbeat. So I'll come down here and create a group for this, and I'll just call this Packetbeat, and I'll give it a rule ID of, I'll just start this with a 2. That should be good. Location, I'll actually just change this to a match, and then a match here as well. I'm going to match again on the Packetbeat string here. Since this string will be with every Packetbeat log that we receive, this will tell Wazuh, when you see this particular string, Packetbeat, this is a Packetbeat log, and I want you to go ahead and actually log it. So I'll copy that and paste that guy there, and I'll change our description here to just Packetbeat logs. And I'll remove the no full log option. All right, let me go ahead and save that. And it looks like I have a duplicate rule. I do. Okay, let me change this to a 3. All right, good. So now I'll restart our manager, and then we'll run our rule set test again. And let's see if we get some better results here. So I'll go ahead and just copy this same block here. And then once our manager has restarted, I'll go ahead and do that rule set test yet again. All right, so our manager has restarted. I'll go into custom rules, and I'll just bounce into this guy and do a rule set test and paste that guy there again. And here we see good. So we see that the decoding has worked correctly. Again, what the Wazuh manager can decode JSON logs natively, which is really nice. So we can see our JSON decoder coming into play here. Then we see all of the various fields being parsed out, which is nice. So now within our Kibana UI here, we'll be able to actually filter on the various fields here very easily. And if we scroll down a little further, we see our rule matching for Packetbeat logs. So good, that's starting to look good. So now let's go ahead and pop into our agent again, our Packetbeat agent, and we should see some Packetbeat logs start to now come through. And yeah, here they are. They are now starting to come through. So I'll expand this guy out. And let's go ahead and look for a DNS query. And let me now trigger a DNS request for this guy. So I'll do something very similar here. I'll just do our ping out to, I'll just ping opensecure.co, which should result in a DNS query, and good. So that just popped through. And now let's go ahead and refresh Kibana, and hopefully now we should see a DNS entry. And there we go. So go ahead and refresh Kibana. We see our DNS entry, and so if we expand out our question name here, here we see our opensecure.co. So awesome, right? So now we're able to, without having to make any drastic network architecture changes, such as a IPS IDS, such as maybe configuring something on your internal name servers to forward events, we can now install this really lightweight agent on all of our endpoints that will be able to send us traffic that is hitting their network interfaces, right? So if we do an if config here, our Packetbeat is capturing any network traffic that is hitting our ETH0 interface here, which is the interface assigned to our box. Now let's see what happens if we do just like a file download. So I'll go to our friendly icar file here, and I will go ahead and run a wget out to this guy. And let's see what network traffic we trigger off. So here I'll just do a basic tail. I won't grep for anything in particular. And I'll do a wget out to this guy. And there we just saw a lot of network traffic pop off. Oh, let me add the no check certificate flag. All right, so we made a connection out to icar.com or to secure.icar.org here, and then downloaded a file. So if we go back into Kibana, and so here we see some flows here out to port 443 and out to the IP address that icar.com, that the secure.icar.com resolved to, right? So this guy here, what I have highlighted on the screen here. And what's also cool is you're also to see yeah, you're able to get some more metadata around the terms of like how many network packets are being sent out, which is really cool. You're able to get flow IDs. You can cross correlate all traffic that matches this particular flow ID, which is really cool. And then you can really build sophisticated dashboards on top of this, right? We can even see the bytes that were sent out. So maybe you could build, you could build a dashboard within Kibana that is like a line graph, for example, of bytes going out at particular intervals. So you can then see, hey, maybe someone is trying to exfiltrate data, which would mean in a high number of network bytes being sent out, and your dashboard would reflect that because you would see a huge jump in that. And that may actually be a good idea for a later video down the line. But in this one, I just wanted to show you guys how quick and easy it is to actually peek behind the curtain of network traffic that is hitting your endpoint. So now you can really get a good idea of not just what is happening on the box, such as, files being added to the box, users logging in, but you can also see network traffic that is hitting the box. Of course, this isn't a type of Suricata deployment, right? So we don't have rule signatures that are matching various traffic to detect malicious signatures within this network traffic. This is simply telling us, hey, this is the traffic that is coming and going out of your box. Here's the protocols, here's where the traffic is going out to, which is very beneficial as well. So I think that wraps it up for today's video. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next one.